Have you ever opened the last book of the Bible, read a few pages about dragons, beasts, and falling stars, and immediately closed it in a panic? You are definitely not alone in that feeling. So many of us look at the world today, see the endless chaos on the evening news, and wonder if we are living in the absolute end times. But what if I told you that the book of Revelation wasn't written to scare you, but to completely anchor you in hope? I remember when I first tried to read Revelation on my own. I was a teenager sitting on my bedroom floor late at night, and honestly, I was terrified by what I was reading. I thought it was a giant, complicated puzzle of doom that I had to somehow solve to figure out exactly when the world would end. For years after that, I avoided it completely. I'd happily read the Gospels, the Psalms, maybe some of Paul's letters, but I treated Revelation like a dark closet I didn't ever want to open. A few years ago, something happened that changed how I see this entirely. I was going through a season of intense personal loss, feeling like my own little world was falling apart at the seams. A mentor of mine sat me down and said something I won't ever forget. They told me that Revelation is simply a pastoral letter written to exhausted, hurting people who felt like evil was winning the day. It was a beautiful reminder that the story already has an ending, and the good guys actually win. Suddenly, the scary imagery faded away, and I saw the beautiful promise hiding underneath all those confusing symbols. The first truth we have to deeply understand about Revelation is that it's a revelation of Jesus Christ, not a revelation of global disaster. Look at Revelation chapter 1, verses 17 and 18. John, the writer, sees Jesus in all his magnificent glory and falls down like a dead man out of fear. But Jesus places his right hand on him and says, "Do not be afraid. I am the first and the last. I am the living one. I was dead, and now, look, I am alive forever and ever, and I hold the keys of death and Hades." Think about that for a second. Jesus holds the keys. When you hold the keys to a house or a car, it means you have ultimate authority over it. You decide exactly who comes in and who goes out. We spend so much time worrying about who is in charge of our government, our economy, or our personal future. But this verse reminds us that Jesus holds the keys to the darkest, scariest things we will ever face, even death itself. Imagine you're riding in a car through a terrifying, chaotic storm. The rain is blinding, the wind is howling, and you're gripping the door handle in sheer panic. But then you look over at the driver's seat, and you see someone who has driven this exact road 1,000,000 times, completely calm, both hands firmly on the wheel. That is what Revelation does for us. It pulls our anxious eyes away from the storm outside and points us directly to the one driving the car. The second thing we really need to grasp is that God sees our suffering and He is deeply moved by it. It's so incredibly easy to feel like our pain goes unnoticed in the grand scheme of the universe. In Revelation chapter 5 verse 8, we get a stunning, behind-the-scenes glimpse into the throne room of God. It says that the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Each one had a harp, and they were holding golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of God's people. Just let that beautiful image sink into your heart for a moment. Golden bowls, full of your personal prayers. In the ancient Roman world, incense was incredibly expensive and precious. It was used in the presence of emperors to signify immense value and honor. John is using this specific imagery to tell the early Christians, who were being hunted and brutally persecuted by the Roman Empire, that their tears and their desperate cries for help weren't just vanishing into thin air. God was collecting every single one of them as if they were the most valuable treasure in the entire universe. When you cry out to God in the middle of the night, when you feel like you're just talking to the ceiling, your prayers are actually filling the throne room of heaven with a beautiful fragrance. He hasn't ignored a single tear you've shed. He is gathering them, holding them close, and preparing to answer them in His perfect timing. You are never, ever shouting into a void. This brings us to the deepest, most powerful truth in the entire book. The ultimate climax of the human story isn't destruction, it is total restoration. We finally reach Revelation chapter 21 verses 3 and 4, and the words are absolutely breathtaking. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. This is exactly where all the chaos is heading. This is the glorious finish line. God doesn't just rescue us from a broken world. He actually comes down to live in the mess with us and makes it entirely new. Can you imagine the profound tenderness of God, the mighty creator of the galaxies, reaching out to gently wipe a tear from your cheek? All the heartbreak, all the sickness, all the painful betrayals, and all the quiet grief you carry inside. It all has a strict expiration date. When we watch the news and feel a heavy knot of despair in our stomachs, we have to remember that the current state of the world isn't its final state. The pain of today is just a temporary shadow, but the joy of tomorrow is an eternal, unshakable reality. The story ends with a wedding, a feast, and an unbreakable embrace. So, how do we actually live this out when Monday morning rolls around? I want to give you 3 specific practical things you can do today. First, seriously limit your doom scrolling. For every minute you spend watching stressful news on your phone, spend 2 minutes reading the promises of God. Protect your peace by strictly controlling what feeds your mind. Second, write down your biggest current fear on a piece of paper and literally write the words "Jesus holds the keys" over it in a bold marker. Put it on your bathroom mirror as a daily visual reminder of who is really in charge. Third, take 5 intentional minutes today to pray for someone else who is hurting. When we step into someone else's pain, we perfectly reflect the heart of God, who collects all our prayers in those golden bowls. You have the power to bring a small piece of heaven to earth